70 miles off of Key West, Florida are a group of islands that make up the most remote national park in the country. Smack in the middle of it is an old Civil War fort that has a ton of history. Me being the curious explorer and history lover that I am, I set out on a lengthy adventure to check it out. Here is our boat, the Dry Tortugas National Park ferry called Yankee Freedom. So it looks like I'm the first one here. Here's the empty terminal where we wait for the boat. It's definitely a lot more busier than when I was here by myself. According to the tour guides, about 175 people registered to be on the ferry. We are now boarding the ferry. Morning. Alright, so we just made it inside. Got some breakfast, bagel, cream cheese. That's it. You do have to wear your mask whenever you're not eating or drinking, or if you're outside. No.
No? Oh, okay.
You guys are?
What? Yeah. There was another solo guy checked in earlier.
Oh, no, I wish.
Check the upstairs. It is very windy out here.
Just made it to Fort Jefferson here at Dry Tortugas National Park. Literally just got off the ferry. I feel a little bit seasick, but nothing too crazy. We are now making our way inside of the fort. Weather is better than I expected. There's so many bricks here. Check this out. So if you're a camper, you must be out of the fort by sunset. And they do have a campground somewhere on this island. There's a lot of history here and a lot of things to do, including snorkeling. They give you the gear complimentary, free of charge. That includes the goggles, the tube, and they even have life vests, pool noodles, stuff like that, so you can have a good time here. I mean, you pay a lot of money to come here, so no surprise they include a lot of stuff for free. I've decided to make my way through here because no one else is here, and that's how I'd like to keep the experience going. They have a guided tour, but we're gonna skip that because I feel like most people are gonna do that. For the next few hours, I'll be your guide. Did a lot of research on the history here, which, by the way, there's a lot. I won't be able to cover it all, but now I'll get to the main things. Like, for example, it was discovered by Ponce de Leon in 1513. He originally named the islands Las Tortugas because he found over 100 sea turtles here. There was an abundance of that here. But it was later renamed Dry Tortugas because there's absolutely, I mean, you would think this is, this national park is 99% water, 1% land, most of it being, you know, these little islands. There are 7 of them. But it was renamed Dry Tortugas because there's no fresh water here. So people who were coming in on boats, the name was kind of a heads up as to, you know, bring your own fresh water. Let's make our way inside one of these areas. Wow. This is nuts. Check out this little window. There are many of them around the fort, and they make for good photo ops of the ocean. I think that's the seaplane taking off or landing. This place had a lot of prisoners, and one of them was the most famous, Dr. Samuel Mudd, who was convicted for his involvement in the assassination of President Lincoln in 1865. After John Wilkes Booth assassinated Lincoln, he needed treatment after jumping from the top floor of the theater that they were in and injuring one of his legs. Mudd treated him, and for that he was charged with conspiring to kill the president and was sent here. Now, he was given a life sentence but was later released, or I should say he was released early because during a yellow fever outbreak here, he helped a lot of people. The fort was not a happy place. So we are now entering the prisoner quarters, and I do see Dr. Mudd's cell over here, the dungeon. We are literally taking a step back in time right now as we enter Dr. Mudd's cell. Like I said, he was charged with conspiring to assassinate President Abraham Lincoln, sentenced to life right here in this cell. This is the window he had to look outside of. Put yourself in his shoes. Not sure if they let him go this far to the window. I'm assuming there were like rails or like bars here to prevent him from actually jumping out. In memory of Dr. Samuel A. Mudd, 1833 through 1883. Pretty spacious for a cell. He did have two windows. This is the view from this one. So while we walk to the next area, a little bit on the boat ride. If you're taking the boat ride, which by the way, after experiencing seasickness at its finest, I recommend coughing up the extra $100 or a couple $100 to get on the seaplane, because not only would you have more time here because it leaves at the same time as the ferry, which the ferry is 2.5 hours. You get here in about 30 to 40 minutes. You don't deal with seasickness, and you know, you get more time here. Oh, here's a cool thing that I read a lot about, and that building right there, that small building, they would heat up cannonballs, so when they shot them at the ships, it would do extra damage, because at the time they didn't have cannonballs that would explode on impact like you would at a more modern time. Surprised they don't have any railings, but I mean, like I said, they're keeping it as it was. I don't know if they did have railings back in the day. Oh man, does not get better than this. Check this out. Leave it in the comments if you know what this is, but it's just dripping here and creating whatever this is. It's dripping. I don't know. If you guys know what that is, please let me know in the comments. I love learning. Oh, it's happening here too. I love learning about new stuff, especially when it's part of an old place like this. Here we have what I think is the South Beach. I do see people using the snorkeling equipment. Let's see if we can make our way a little higher. So after the yellow fever struck again in 1873, half of the 24 cases died, and then after that, the fort was struck by a damaging hurricane. So the army decided to abandon Fort Jefferson. We're now making our way, I think, to the last floor, which is the roof of the fort, where we should have the best views. And also, where the cannons are located. Here's a cannon. Wow. Check this out. The water, I've never seen it this blue, this colorful. If you come here, please watch your step, because like I said, things are just left as it was, and there's not a lot of things to hold you back from falling off the edge. For example, I'm almost tempted to sit at the ledge and take a picture of my legs dangling. You can probably hear a lot of birds, and that's because it is nesting season for them, and there are literally tens of thousands of birds over there. Now normally you would be able to go that way, but from February through September it's closed to the public, so they can, you know, have their nesting and have the whole area to themselves, so they will be unbothered while we are here. Oh wow, cool. So yeah, come after September and before February if you would like to explore this part. I'm not sure if we're allowed up here, but I'm gonna do it. This part right here is where workers of the National Park Service sleep. So surprisingly, or I should say unsurprisingly, since there are campers here, there has to be a authority present 24/7, and that's what that part is. So we're at the visitor center. We're now gonna get our passport stamped. First stamp of my passport here at Dry Tortugas. You get a lot of information on the marine life, the history. This is all right next to the passport stamping area. There's a bunch of stuff I'm assuming they found on this island. I'd love to touch it. All across the fort, there are 109 rain catchers that have filters on them. So this island gets about 30 inches of rain per year, or at least at the time. And that is how they would catch rainwater, filter it, and use it as drinking water. All right, guys, it is lunchtime. So here's what we have today. We have our Jersey Mike sub with ham and I think cheese. We also got pretzels. We had the option of Lay's chips or pretzels, 2 chocolate chip cookies, and our condiments. Oh, and can of brisk. Assuming this is all because of COVID, we had a prepackaged breakfast and a prepackaged lunch. Some lettuce, ham, and cheese. Not gonna complain, especially when I have the fort to my right. These are some of the campsites that I'm assuming you have to book well in advance to get a spot, because I think they only have 10 slots on any given day. We're now gonna walk along the moat wall before we attempt to swim. I don't know if we should swim here or on the other side where I showed you guys earlier. We're now walking along the moat wall to get a unique perspective of Fort Jefferson.
I'm probably like dumb right now.
The water's pretty cloudy, so we're not gonna be able to see a lot.
Nothing better than swimming outside of a Civil War fort.
All right, we just finished swimming over by the moat wall. Now to dry off a bit, get some pictures with the main camera, and 106, so alcohol should be served soon on the boat. Apparently, if you drink enough alcohol, it reduces the effect of seasickness. I don't know if that's true or not. Check this out. It's an old boat with its motor rusted away inside. Let's go read the sign and see what this boat is all about. 33 Cubans crossed over 100 miles of dangerous open seas and landed on Loggerhead Key in July 2007. They spent 3 nights and 2 days at sea and evaded interception by a U.S. Coast Guard. Made out of wood. Looks like thin pieces of metal. Decided to come sit here. This is as close as I'm willing to get to hear the birds, watch the birds, and enjoy this beautiful view. You don't get watercolor like that by the coast. It's 1:52 and it looks like a good amount of people are getting on the boat. We're gonna work our way down to the boat now to get us a drink. Now I did check the menu for the drinks and they do have some good options for just $5, so not too bad.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so it's 2 o'clock and we're gonna do the last name of the reservation. How many people and make sure none of your items are last name.
Just picked up a strawberry daiquiri. They have the bar open until about 4:30, 4:45. Now let's get on the boat and hope we don't get sick on the way there. So I told one of the crew members that I felt sick on the way here, and he told me, "Where'd you sit?" I sat downstairs. He said downstairs is usually the smoothest part. We're upstairs now because he suggested it. Well, actually he suggested towards the back, and I'm kind of by where the captain is, so mistakes may have been made. But we have a good drink, and the bar's open for another 2.5 hours. Nice view of the fort. Here's some of the merch I picked up. Dry Tortugas pin, magnets, and a passport book for my girlfriend. Campers over there are waving goodbye. Alright guys, we just finished the Dry Tortugas National Park trip, which lasted about 10 hours in total when you count the round trip on the 2-hour boat ride. My thoughts, it's something that you have to do. Honestly, I don't even look at the price point, $190 to get there, and then I spend like another 100 on a hotel. I think it's just, if you have the money for it, or you can even save up for it, I think it's worth it. 100%. You get to do things that not many people get to do. I mean, this is one of the most remote national parks in the country, and it's also the least visited, one of the least visited national parks in the country. I think they get like 60,000 annual visitors. So yeah, shout out to the staff of the Yankee Freedom ferry boat. They're contracted by the National Park Service to provide this trip for the many guests. I think 175 was the total passengers today, and they treated everybody really well. I kept tipping them every time I would buy a drink or a snack, because I feel like their work was very professional, informative, and they look like they really enjoy what they do. All right, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are inspired and motivated to go out and explore the national parks of this country. It doesn't have to be Dry Tortugas, but if you're in the area, if you're in South Florida or Key West, it's worth looking into. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up if you learned something or enjoyed this video, and subscribe and hit that notification button so you can be notified when I upload my next video. I'll see you guys in the next adventure.